Hey there, Sam. Suppose we have an object called car here, and we'll set the color to blue. Now let me create another car, and I'll set it equals to car1. And I'm gonna change the color of car2 to red. And if I console log out car1 here, what do you think you'll see inside the console? Would the color of car1 to be blue or red? Pause the video for a bit and make a choice. So the answer is, surprisingly, red. What is going on here? So it turns out that in JavaScript, objects are references rather than the data itself. I'll show you what I mean. So behind the scene, JavaScript stores data in a space called the heap, and the heap is located inside our computer's memory. You can think of the heaps as a bag that holds all sorts of data. And this is where things becomes a little bit more interesting. So when we created our car1 object just now, JavaScript will store the object inside the heap. However, the variable car1 is just a reference pointing at the object that is stored inside the heap. Car1 is just a reference. It is not the object itself. So when we created our variable car2, we're essentially making a copy of the reference. So car2 is pointing at the original object inside the heap as well. That means any changes that we made towards car2 will affect the original object directly, since it's just a reference pointing at the object. So that's the reason why, when we change the color of car2, the color of car1 changes as well, because both variables are pointing at the same object. This is a very dangerous behavior and can cause very nasty bugs in our program. So how can we solve this then? There are two ways that I can show you. One is to use the object assign function. The object assigns function accepts two arguments. It will merge properties from an object to another object. The first argument is the target object, and the second argument is the source object. In our case here, in order to break the reference link or to clone the object, we'll need to create a new object. So for the first argument, I'm putting in an empty object. And the second argument will be car1. So the object assign function will copy all the properties inside car1 over to the new object that we're creating. And now the variable clone here is a reference pointing towards the new object rather than car1. So now let's try to change the color of the clone object to black. And we're going to console out car1 again. Now notice that the color of car1 remains as red. And that's a proof that we have broken the reference link. Cloned and car1 are no longer related. The second way is to use something called the spread operator. The spread operator is used for unpacking array and objects. Let's see how we can use it in our case here. We're going to create a new variable, clone2, and it has to be a new object, of course, because we want to break the reference link. And the content of our new object here should be the same as car1. So let's use a spread operator to unpack the content of car1. So I'll put a triple dot, which is the syntax of the spread operator, and car1 right after them. And this will unpack car1 into our new object. And now if we change the color of clone2 to green and console log out car1 again, we still see car1 has the color of red. So that's a quick intro to object and references in JavaScript. Be extremely careful next time when you want to copy an object. Now let's talk about the spread operator more. The spread operator can be used upon arrays as well. Spreading an array means unpacking the array. For example, I can unpack an array to pass the elements of the array as the arguments of the function. For example, this line of code is equivalent to this. Another use case of the spread operator is it allows us to join arrays together in a very clean way. So suppose we have two arrays here with different numbers, and I want to join both arrays together into a third array. What I can do is to create a new variable, array3, and inside the array3, I'll unpack array1 and array2. So if I console out array3, I will get the combination of array1 and array2. And similar to array, we can use this technique to join objects together. So let's say we have an object1 with a property hey in there, and another object with a property hey as well, and also a food property. And now we'll create an object3, which will unpack object1 and object2. And we'll console log out object3, and we see the hey property and the food property. Since object2 is unpacked later than object1, and both of them has the same property called hey, object2 will overwrite the hey property in object1. Now the spread operator has another form called the rest operator, and is only used in functions where we want an arbitrary numbers of arguments. Let's take a look at an example. Suppose we have a function called add, and this function takes in two arguments, x and y, and it will return x plus y back. It is not very flexible at the moment because we can only put in two numbers each time when we want to use this function. We might want to do something like this, where the user can put in all the numbers in one go. And here's where the rest operator saves our day. The rest and spread operator share the same syntax, but their meaning is very different. Spread is for unpacking, rest is for joining. And the triple dot will only become a rest operator when you put it inside the function's argument definition. Let's modify our add function so it uses the rest operator. In the round bracket, I'll put in triple dot and the argument name that represent the arguments passed to this function. The rest operator will pack up the arguments and turn them into an array. So if I console log out nums, we will see an array of numbers. To complete our add function, I'll just write a simple for loop that loops through the numbers and return the sum. And that's it. Now we can pass in any numbers of arguments to our add function and it will always work. Key takeaway for this lesson: JavaScript stores data in heaps, and heaps is just a location inside the computer's memory. Objects are references in JavaScript. To make a copy of the object, we should clone the object by using the spread operator or the object assign function. Triple dots are both the spread and rest operator. The spread operator is used to unpack arrays and objects. On the other hand, the rest operator is used to pack functions' arguments, so we can write functions that take in an infinite numbers of arguments. That's it for this lesson, and I'll see you again in the next video. If you enjoyed the content of this video, don't forget to hit the like, subscribe, and the bell icon for more content to come. It will really help me out. Thanks for the support.